Because what they discovered, that what was impossible is suddenly possible. What was unimaginable is suddenly imaginable. What was inconceivable is suddenly conceivable. I need you to hear that right now in whatever circumstance you're confronting. What is impossible can suddenly seem possible when you look at Jesus. What is unimaginable can actually begin to be imaginable when you look at Jesus. What was inconceivable can begin to be conceivable when you look to Jesus. That's what has to happen. They got to the tomb, they asked the question, who's going to roll it away? Who is going to roll? And you might be at the end of your rope right now. And you're like, God, what is going to happen? And I love what it says here. It says, but then in verse 4, but then they looked up. They saw the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. The woman finally stopped talking and they decided to look up. Let me just say, for some of you, what you need to do is stop talking about your problem and begin to look up at the one that can bring healing and bring answers to the problem that you have. Too many of us are looking down. Too many of us are looking back. Too many of us are looking around. We need to stop and we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. He is the author. He is the finisher of our faith. He is our very present help in our time of need. From where does my help come from? It comes from Him. We look up to the hills. That's where our help comes from. We got to stop talking about our problems with our friends. We've got to stop rehearsing them. We've got to stop ruminating them. We've got to look up to Jesus. He is the source of our hope and the source of our life. We need to start looking up. That's what we do in life. We've got to look up. When you look up, your perspective changes. Some of you, that's what you need to do right now. Your whole perspective needs to change. See, when you're just looking down, that's all you see. You see the whole world. And that's what they would have been like. Man, who's going to roll away the stone? I don't know. It's like Jesus, would you look up? Would you just stop talking about it here? Because while you're talking about here, I'm doing something about it here. So I need you to look up to me. When you look up, you see hope. When you look up, you see life. When you look up, you see light where there has been only darkness. I'm speaking to someone right now and I'm saying it's time to look up. It is time to stop looking down. Once your perspective changes, everything changes. The way you look at it changes. Hope changes. You begin to start to see things you never saw. You begin to imagine things you have never imagined before. There becomes a way where there was no way. You've got to stop looking down, stop looking back, stop looking around, and you've got to start looking up to Jesus. Your answer is in Jesus. Your hope is in Jesus. Your freedom is in Jesus. The grace is in Jesus. We've got to look to Jesus. When you look down, you're just going to stay down. That's the whole issue. When you keep looking down, your emotions stay down, your perspective stays down, everything stays down. That's why the enemy will do everything he can for you not to look up. He'll do everything he can for you to keep looking at your problem, to keep talking about your mountain rather than talking to your mountain. Some of us need to stop talking about our mountains. We need to start speaking to our mountains, and we need to tell our mountains to move in Jesus' name, and so we can move into the fullness of what God has for us. We need to change our perspective. You see, when the women saw the stone being rolled away, can you imagine how shocked they were? They would have absolutely freaked out. This stone that could not be moved by 20 people that had guards, because this is the one thing that they didn't want to happen. Yes. And so here is the stone had been moved, and they were in shock because what they discovered, that what was impossible is suddenly possible. What was unimaginable is suddenly imaginable. What was inconceivable is suddenly conceivable. I need you to hear that right now in whatever circumstance you're confronting. What is impossible can suddenly seem possible when you look at Jesus. What is unimaginable can actually begin to be imaginable when you look at Jesus. What was inconceivable can begin to be conceivable when you look to Jesus. That's what has to happen.